Think back to a time when you were a kid, maybe even a young teenager. Back in the day when life just seemed a little bit more colorful. The weekend comes and school is finally out and oh boy, you know what that means. Family trip to Blockbuster and family video, baby. Time to go see what new movies are out and check out the gaming section. What's this? Halo 3? The new action-packed sequel to Halo 2? The most insane gaming experience of the early 2000s? And I can get it for just $5.99 for the entire weekend? What? See, I remember back in the day when I took those family trips, whether it was to rent a new horror movie that would continue to scare me for the rest of my life, like The Grudge, or if it was to rent a game that I was either excited to try or already wanted to own, but outright buying the game was too expensive. The days of browsing the video game aisle knowing that maybe if I had been a good boy and not given Pops a reason to beat me, then maybe if I was lucky, I'd get to pick out 2 games. My go-tos were always Sonic Adventure 2 and some sort of Paper Mario game. I can't remember which Paper Mario it was, but it was for the GameCube and I sucked really bad at it. I would play these games all weekend and forget that anything outside of my bedroom even existed. And when my birthday would come around, I'd ask for a copy of whatever game I liked most so we no longer had to rent it and I could play it whenever I wanted. These were the same days that you would constantly see video game magazines promoting new games and every game you bought had a free trial for another game. It really was peak life back then. Video game rentals were incredibly important. It's like the modern day equivalent of having sex with a woman before even dating her. You gotta dive into the blissful coin slot crevices before committing to the full title. Rentals would be the tease of a game. They had an objective to sell you on the game being so good in just the demo or the limited rental time that you had it, so you would end up making a full $60 purchase of the game later on. See, games back then had to be good because there was so much competition in a much smaller market than today's, and a lot less recognizable IP that led the industry, meaning everyone had equal chance to be successful as long as the game could capture your interest enough in a short amount of time that you had with it. Renting games is a genius idea, however, it is not the most profitable. In 2014, we saw the collapse of Blockbuster and, well, the fall of many of our childhoods. The days of going out with mom and pops for the weekend to pick up some movies and games were soon to be nothing but memories. And with it went the art of video game rentals. 2014 was just a little under a year into the PS4 and Xbox One generation, as well as the start of mainstream digital storefronts, which would allow you to buy a license to a game through the console manufacturer, usually Sony, Nintendo, or Microsoft. The digital marketplace became so mainstream due to the factor of convenience, a very dangerous factor as it cannibalized much more of the gaming industry than most people realize. But it makes sense, right? Why go out and get a game when I could just get it from the comfort of my own home? And that's a valid point, but the barrier to entry was a $60 price tag and an hour of tech support if you wanted to return the product. Because with the push of the digital marketplace came the push of pre-orders and signing away your money to a product you didn't even know was what you were getting until the day it came out. There were no more free trials, there was no more renting video games, there was no such thing as a demo anymore. You could no longer boot up the copy of Halo 3 and beat it all on the weekend just for the small price of $5.99. Instead, if you wanted to try out a game, you'd have to commit to buying the game full price or had to wait for a sale. Video games are unlike any other form of entertainment. They actually have a feeling to them. They have a level of interactivity no other media allows for. See, when a new trailer for a movie comes out, you can tell right there and then if you think you will like it. But when a trailer for a game comes out, you think you might like what the game displays itself as. But truth is that the trailer can't provide an understanding of how the movement will feel, how the recoil patterns of weapons will affect gameplay, or how quick the pacing of the game is. You don't know if the game stutters or has any bugs at launch. Gaming trailers often show off the best and most polished parts of the game intentionally to manipulate customers into buying a game on the hopeful thought that customers would be ignorant enough to how a game development works, and they would just pre-order the game before they knew what they were actually paying for. Looking at you, Halo 5. hunt the truth. Meanwhile, the only truth is that 343 needs to be taken to court for their false marketing campaign. And just like Halo 5, there are plenty of games that even now, more than ever, are gaining money from scamming customers because of their false promises and marketing. Battlefield 2042 was supposedly ahead of schedule on development, yet released an unfunctional, buggy mess. Gaming is now an outlet for billionaire corporate heads to steal and scam people out of $70 because they no longer have to actually produce a good product to generate millions in revenue. They just need to make a dope-ass trailer. If companies like Activision were to release demos or free trials, then they would need to actually commit to making a product worth everyone's time, or people would quickly realize that it wasn't worth it and not end up making the full $70 purchase. But see, there is a small thing about modern gaming that I've left out intentionally so far, and that's the rise of gaming subscription services like good old Game Pass. I miss those days of going to Blockbuster, and I miss seeing Nintendo 64 games on the shelf, and my oh my, do I miss the smell of mildew underneath those carpets. But I won't have to miss them for long. When Xbox announced Game Pass and basically said it's the Netflix of gaming, I was actually pretty optimistic. For a small fee of 10 smackaroos a month, you could get unlimited access to dozens and now even hundreds of games. You can install them and play them straight from the cloud at an impressive 240p resolution. Xbox pretty much succeeded at making a pretty cool rental service, I won't lie. I like having quick access from the comfort of my home and being able to just try out a new game at no additional cost. But like I said, the factor of convenience is dangerous. The issue is that there is no soul here. It doesn't capture the feeling of walking down a busted as shit store with my dad and looking at games I could never afford but always wanted. Now it feels like I'm browsing pure mediocrity in a slight chance that I actually like a game enough on Game Pass to justify paying full price for it. Or even the other way around. There's times where I want a game but can't justify paying full price, so I just sit and wait for it to come to Game Pass instead of buying it outright. There are no more cool posters hidden inside the manual of a case. In fact, it's all digital, so you don't get anything. And when you do buy a physical disc, it doesn't even come with a manual half the time. It's just a disc, and there is no cool cover art or description of the game on the back of the case anymore. It's just so minimalist and lifeless. Everything about gaming feels so corporate. Buying a game is no longer a gift to myself to escape reality. It's become a business transaction that I pray to God that I could get a return on my investment in. Maybe if rental stores were still a thing, I wouldn't be feeling this way. I mean, maybe it's just because I grew up. I'm really not too sure. But I wish games still felt like they had to prove themselves to us, that they had to fight for us to believe they were worth it by handing us their game for cheap or sometimes even free in form of a trial, and use that to get us hooked enough to buy the game for the price it's worth. There are plenty of games out there that really are actually worth the $70 price tag. But there is no game good enough to justify not having a trial or demo version for the audience. And sure, some games do this in the form of a beta, but even then, they say the game is subject to change and is still not the final product we will be buying. Anyways, with all of this being said, I know I've just gone on a long tangent. I hope you guys understand. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I mean, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read and respond to pretty much most of them. And if you want to stick around for more, please consider subscribing. If not, that's cool. I really do miss rental stores, and the nostalgia I have for them is ever growing. And I know the further we move into an all digital library of games, the more these rental systems will just become distant memories. But one day, baby, one day. Anyways, thanks for watching, and until next time, piss off. Walk on a Saturday.
Wait.
Stop shooting me!
Regular crowd shuffles in. And I know that it's me you've been going to see. Think about it for a while.
It's time to change.
Fuck!